perhaps when you've won 8 in a row, as the Hawks have, after dispatching the Brooklyn Nets tonight 108-97. It wasn't quite as dramatic as the last meeting in that crazy 24-2 run, but once again, the Nets kept within shouting distance late, actually trailed by only 1 early in the fourth quarter. The Hawks responded late with a 25-8 run, and they get their 8th straight victory of the season. Great to have you with us here on the floor at State Farm. Madison Hawk, Matt Weiner. We formally requested the Hawks that we get a marching band for every postgame. So that's what's going to happen from here on out.
But to be honest, I can't hear anything.
This one, they get within 1 in the fourth quarter. The Nets are a bad team. Yeah. I don't know how this keeps happening.
Yeah, I said this at halftime to you. That just felt a little too close for comfort. But, you know, I think it was Brad Oliver, not to give BO more credit.
Oh, boy, not that again.
He was saying, hey, they're still NBA players. You can't discredit any of them because they're still playing in the league, in the best league of the world. So, yeah, a little too close for comfort. I'm glad that the Hawks were able to get this win and put it away. We've talked about this a lot as they're playing teams below 500. They need to get these wins to continue to stack, to continue to climb up in the Eastern Conference standings, and they've done that. Maybe wasn't pretty at all times, but a good win for the Hawks.
And you see the experience gap between the super young Brooklyn Nets, the youngest team in the league with 5 first-round draft picks on the roster, and a more veteran Hawks squad when it counted. Nets some turnovers when they still had a chance late in the game. Meanwhile, Fort Key, C.J. McCollum, when the offense wasn't really flowing early in that fourth quarter, C.J. just kind of DIY'd some buckets that gave them a little separation.
Yeah, and this is a huge reason why the Hawks wanted C.J. McCollum here in Atlanta, is because of his ability to take over the game in fourth quarters. His numbers aren't just going to jump off a stat sheet at you in what he did tonight, but he was really efficient. And those 3 buckets he had early to start the fourth quarter really switched the momentum in favor of the Hawks. I loved that move right there, just the crossover step-back jumper, one of C.J.'s signature moves. He's lights out from that mid-range elbow spot, and he was really effective tonight. But 11 minutes left to play in this game. The Hawks found themselves down by 1. I liked the way Atlanta responded, in large part because of what CJ was doing, dictating the offense. But you and I were just talking before we came off camera. The Hawks really felt the absence of Dyson Daniels tonight on both sides of the ball, not just on his defensive end, just his decision-making, his playmaking ability. He's been one of the go-to offensive factors for the Hawks down this stretch of the last 7, 8, 9, 10 games, and I thought that they really missed him tonight.
Couple of things. They had trouble keeping Nets drivers out of the paint for much of the night. Dyson Daniels changes that a little bit. Mostly, though, the half-court offense felt like it lost its fastball for most of the night. It just wasn't flowing the way it has been over the last couple of weeks, and a lot of that has to do with Dyson handling the ball and driving and kicking out.
Yeah, and I was talking to some of the coaches right before the start of the fourth quarter, and they said, we're getting good looks offensively. To your point, we're just not getting shots to fall. But I think a lot of that is because of Dyson's ability to just constantly play downhill, put pressure on the rim, and get his teammates in the open spots, maybe more high percentage shots than we saw tonight without Dyson on the court.
Certainly not a good shooting night for the Hawks, but that created second chance opportunities, which they did very, very well tonight.
And that was something that Quinn Snyder was challenging the team. Be more aggressive on glass, and they did that. You mentioned it, 17 offensive rebounds, and they translated that to 22 second chance points. In the second half, the Hawks just didn't shoot very well from the field at all, 32% from the field in the second half, but they were still able to get some easy looks by following their shots, getting these offensive rebounds. Quinn Snyder said in pregame, it's a balancing attack with how many players you send to the glass to offensive rebounds, because to counter that, you have to be able to get back and stop the other team in transition. Tonight was a good matchup for the Hawks. They were able to crash the glass because Brooklyn is not a great team in transition. They don't run with a lot of pace. So the Hawks were able to send more to the glass and be more aggressive on the offensive glass because of that.
Also missing some size. Day'Ron Sharp not available, one of their bigger bodies for the Brooklyn roster. They were plus 18 in that category in terms of second chance points. Zachary Risacher played a huge role in the first half in particular, and a lot of that had to do with not shot making, though he made some shots. A lot of that had to do with going to the boards.
Yeah, 16 points for Zachary Risacher in the first half, but Humatic ability, his explosive just body is able to go in there and get these rebounds. And this is something that we've wanted to see more out of Zach throughout the season, and I think he's playing really well right now and showed that tonight.
Quinn Snyder was asked a few weeks ago about what he's expecting from Zachary Risacher when he exited the starting lineup. Two things he said: defense, crashing the boards. That happened tonight for Shea and for the Hawks. They could use it. There's Zach at the rim. The Hawks get the win tonight. It's 8 straight. And one of the ways the Hawks were able to grind out this win tonight was to force 20 turnovers from this young Nets team. Nickeil Alexander-Walker had 3 steals himself. We're probably going to see shot making here because that's what he's known for. But that was a big part of the night.
And that's exactly what Nickeil Alexander-Walker told me in my post-game interview with him. Is we got this win because we got stops. You mentioned it. He had 3 steals. He was effective on both ends of the court. But I feel like Nickeil is in the best rhythm and groove offensively that we have seen maybe throughout his entire career. And I know that's a bold statement, but he is just flourishing here in Atlanta, and especially during this win streak, finishing with 18 points tonight. But in his last 4 games, he's been averaging 25 points, right under 4 assists per game. So he's been really effective on both sides of the ball. But once again, I liked what he did defensively. Bold statement, but he is just flourishing here in Atlanta, and especially during this win streak, finishing with 18 points tonight. But in his last 4 games, he's been averaging 25 points, right under 4 assists per game. So he's been really effective on both sides of the ball. But once again, I liked what he did defensively. He didn't have Dyson Daniels out there with him that was able to switch, but luckily they got the win. They didn't need Dyson as much tonight. But Nickeil, I like the way that defensively he just brought the pressure from the start. We talk about the steals, but it was the ball pressure, it was the deflections, it was getting into passing lanes. It was all of that from Nickeil tonight. And
he's always got good hands, so that's a factor for whoever's handling the ball. Keep in mind, his offensive role has changed a little bit because of the changes to the roster as well. His usage rate is down a little bit. Field goal attempts are down a little bit. He's not initiating the offense with the ball in his hands as much. Still able to find ways to be productive and help the Hawks win basketball games. All right, time for FanDuel Revisit with Jalen Johnson.
Yeah, speaking of being good with your hands, I guess I was not good with my hands tonight because all of my picks failed, including this one with Jalen Johnson, who did not get 42.5 points, rebounds, and assists combined. But hey, it's okay. He was still really effective, especially in the 4th quarter. He feels like a closer, like you have in baseball. That's what Jalen Johnson feels like to me down the stretch of games, as he comes in and he closes it. I like the rotations that he is playing with right now. He's playing off the ball more, but he's also just dominant, like we've seen all season with the ball in his hands. And down the stretch of the 4th quarter, he did that. He was attacking, but throughout the game, we talked about this in pregame as well, but throughout the game, he was so unselfish, giving up some of his good looks for better looks from his teammates as well. One time being where he had a wide open drive to the lane and kicked it out to Onyeka, and he knocked down a 3. So just that unselfishness that we're seeing out of Jalen, not that he was ever selfish before, I just think his decision-making with the basketball in his hands, understanding his new teammates, understanding how to play with them both on and off the ball, has been really fun to see.
Well, there is buy-in across the roster, it seems, with this equal opportunity offense, and those catch-and-shoot threes late in the game are the perfect example of that. You don't have to have the ball the entire possession to wind up with it and knock down a big shot. Hawks get the win.